Hello and welcome to this new episode of Educology. In this episode, we will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of online learning. Learning is often considered to be a normal part of working and personal life. Both learning for achieving a job as well as for achieving knowledge should not be neglected. Online environment is changing continuously and it represents a great opportunity for learning. It is very important to discover how to learn using all available communication channels and choosing the ones that best suit a person's style of filtering the information. In this episode, we will be discussing the advantages and disadvantages of online learning, as usual with Dr. Laurance Ajaka. Hello, Dr. Laurance.
Hello, dear.
And we will have in our studios Dr. Liza Der Khachdourian, a PhD holder in linguistics. Hello, Dr. Liza, and welcome to Educology. Dr. Laurance, let's start with you. What is web-based learning at a glance?
Web-based learning is commonly referred to as e-learning or online learning. It essentially includes learning online through the courses that are offered on the net. Emails, live lectures, and video conferencing are all possible through the net. This enables all the participants to give their views on a particular topic and then discuss them further. They also offer static pages like course material that are printed for the benefit of all the participants or the students. One of the main advantages of accessing pages on the web is that the most of the web pages have hyperlinks that will lead you to another page and thus opens up a vast amount of information on the net. You don't have the time to actually go to a university or attend the classes. Earlier, it would have been a major problem, as you wouldn't know how to manage that, but not anymore. With the several courses available online, you can actually sit at home and learn. No more of waking up early and attending classes or that irritating classmate. Now take whichever course at peace and at your convenience. A web-based course would typically include course information, timetable, notice board, curriculum map, teaching materials like articles, slides, and handouts, communication through discussion boards and email, summative and formative assessments, students management tools like statistics records and students tracking, and also links to external and internal websites that are very useful.
So, Dr. Liza, based on your experience, how can you describe online learning?
Okay. Throughout my experience in the academic world of teaching, especially writing, communication skills, professional English, I've been into online teaching and learning in most of my studies and my publications. For example, one of these studies highlighted the Webquest learning, like Dr. Ajaka mentioned, something about webs. It's only a click away to get real fruitful information. I can say something about this study. The Webquest thing is that it's a strategy any instructor, university, whether higher education teacher, can use to help students get benefit from the info, open sources education from online things, and organize these in a model like what's the topic, the thesis statement, what do I want my students to know about, and provide them with useful links in a special format, taking them step by step to where the teacher instructor wants them to lead. And in this way, they would be motivated. Like you said before, they're engaged, they like it. This is the Z generation passion to use tools related to technology. Especially, I would like to address the group of students who have only handheld tools. They don't need to have
Tablets, yes.
Tablets, iMacs, iPads, etc. With the help of the teacher, they can get as much as info as the teacher has planned to do. And this was a topic presented in Cyprus University.
So Dr. Liza, you're saying that online learning is better than being in a classroom with the students.
Let me make this clear. Online learning is the trend nowadays. Before the onset of COVID-19,
Exactly.
of course. Why do we need to go for online learning? Why do we need to favor online learning? Why is this trend? First, why don't we benefit from technology? Using tools, all the tools that we've got nowadays, especially the passion of the Z generation. This is one. The pedagogical theories. Why don't we integrate the pedagogical theories into technology? This way, we are integrating them implicitly without making it clear to the students and scaring them. I don't want to learn like writing. Okay, fine. I'm giving you some time for amusement. Surf the web, do this, assign, post. This is what they like to do. So implicitly, we're taking them step by step to where we want them to go. This is part of the TPAC theory. I think you have heard about this, Dr. Ajaka, the TPAC theory: technology, pedagogy, and the content, the scientific or the real content, which is related to task-based learning. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, we don't want to take them into pure theories. We want to take them to life learning situations: how to reserve a ticket, how to reserve a hotel, how to go for daily things, experiences, and learning them through throughout the process naturally.
Mm-hmm. Doctor, let's start with advantages of e-learning.
E-learning has a lot of advantages. First of all, you are able to link the various resources in several varying formats. It's very efficient way of delivering courses online. This is very helpful. Due to its convenience and the flexibility, the resources are available from anywhere and at any time. Everyone who are part-time student or working full-time can take advantage of web-based learning.
Exactly.
Web-based learning promotes active and independent learning. And as you have access to 24/7, you can train yourself anytime and from anywhere also. It is also very convenient and a flexible option. You don't have to depend on anyone for anything. You can do it by yourself, but you need to have the awareness for doing so. And nowadays it can't be like that because our students are not used to work independently. I believe there should be a strategy to follow in order to use such an important tool.
Yes.
The misuse of such a tool will lead to a lot of problems later on. Not only you can train yourself on a day-to-day basis, although you can also on weekends or whenever you have the time. There is no fast rule for online learning. Through discussion boards and chats, you are able to interact with everyone online and also clear your doubts if you have any. And don't forget the video instructions that are provided for audio and video learning They can be rewound and seen and heard again and again if you don't happen to understand the topic the first time around. And if we want to speak about the generations, the Centennial and the Alpha generation, they spend their times listening to YouTubes. Though if you give them lectures, the attention span for people who are under 19, it's 10 minutes, and as for adults, it's like 20 minutes, no more than that.
So even working people can continue their education process.
Exactly.
They don't have any reason to stop learning.
Exactly,
through online learning.
And as Dr. Liza said, we need to find the real strategy to help them have a clear sense of direction.
Yes. Dr. Liza, also through your experience, what are the advantages that you see through your educational process?
Yeah. Actually, before discussing the advantages, let me tell you the tools that I'm using, if it's possible.
Yes, of course.
The tools that I've been using were the Moodle platform, of course, which enables you to activate the Turnitin thing to pinpoint, to highlight the plagiarism issue, which is very important. We might go into this into details later on. And another platform I've been using was the Google Classroom. The most interesting thing about it is the Google Meet, which most people prefer to go for the Zoom thing, but I've been using the Google Meet. What's the advantages? What's the advantage of using the Google Meet? It's one click away, you will record the session, and it falls into the group of the student emails. Okay, so whenever they're ready, whenever they're back from their employment work, they can watch, and especially it's an interactive thing. While I'm lecturing, I'm opening whiteboards, I'm able to start a PowerPoint presentation and write and give them some notes on the screen, share screens at the same time. This would be very interesting, really. And some of the students gave me the feedback that when they were back from their work, they started this recorded session, and it was really helpful because they were asking questions and interacting online, and the answers that were given helped them a lot.
Could I raise a question in here?
Yes, of course.
You were in the academy. Is it the case with everybody else? You were very optimistic, talking about online courses, stating that they were of great importance, and the students were very cooperative, and they worked very hard. Was it the case with other instructors, or there were complaints about such an experience?
Especially
that it was imposed because of the pandemic of COVID-19.
Yes. Not everybody is the same. We have experienced instructors and we have non-experienced. Those you were discussing before, they have this phobia of online, technology. However, the students were motivated, yes, because this opened a window. COVID-19, everybody stays at home.
Technology is their
social
word,
distancing, exactly.
Based on what you have already mentioned, should instructors be technophiles?
Technophiles. Well, let me answer this question indirectly. This is not a secret that all professors have WhatsApp groups. We announce things, we share experiences. On one of the groups, instructor groups, some of the instructors did not have the experience, like failing to session, failing to share screens while lecturing. So those who had the experience shared the info on the WhatsApp group in a way to help other instructors. Like we were cooperating to do this thing to come with a good result. This would happen. However, all instructors in Lebanon need teaching management skills. They really do need this.
There should be a management system.
Of course. And I addressed the Ministry of Education and Higher Education in this, that we are in need of this learning, teaching management system, especially in technology. Yes.
Is the problem our educational system that not adapt technology in education?
Well, I might not say this. It's the authorities. It's the strategy that's been being followed all these years. We have been calling, Dr. Ajaka knows this, for going online, web-based learning for so many years. I hope this would go step by step and do it finally. Yeah.
Based on your professional experience, what is the percentage of the qualified instructors in Lebanon ready to deliver online courses and integrate technology as supposed in the classroom?
Throughout one of my studies, I've been rounding in Lebanese public schools and private schools in higher education system. To my surprise.
Wow.
Yes. I did not find this. I did not find projectors, poor installations, etc. But this is not the issue. We have to draw a line now. It's the onset of COVID-19. Things have been changed dramatically and drastically. We have to go for it. It's time for the radical change.
But the problem lies in that we need new learning strategies for future learners.
Yes,
that's right.
And we lack it.
University of Cyprus, Department of Languages, Dr. Stella Hadjihatsu, she's working on this project. She's conducting a research about the real needs of European higher education and MENA area, the Middle East education system, and the need of teaching management skills. What are really the needs? To pinpoint them and mention them.
It's not the case just in Lebanon. It's everywhere.
No.
According to an article published in Aswaq al-Arab, it says that 2 billion students are exposed to online or distance learning all over the world. Before the pandemic, the percentage of people learning online, according to American companies, the percentage was 16%. And as for education, 14% of the students in America were used to online learning, and 16% were mixing between classical teaching and remote teaching learning. More than 60 million don't use any electronic teaching or learning online.
So the problem is all over the world. It's
Yes.
not just in Lebanon.
Yes.
Good to have these references.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the article was published right at the emergence of COVID-19 pandemic.
Dr. Liza, what should we do now to improve this system? To have to adapt more technology in this system?
We have two sides to discuss. We have the students' part and the instructors' part. Are the students ready for this? This is a question. Are they physically, psychologically, mentally, are they ready for this? Most of the students at the end of the semester, I asked them to write an essay about disadvantages of staying at home and learning online, etc., they missed one thing: the human interaction they had with their instructors, the atmosphere, the social life of the campus. This is what they missed most. And of course, we as instructors, we know that we have a group of students in each class who have more needs than others. So they need one-on-one interaction. This was covered, again, throughout private calls, private conversations, one-to-one based, like instructor and student.
So online teaching is not enough?
It's a complementary thing.
Exactly. The thing I want to say is that online learning is imposed universally because of the pandemic.
Exactly.
You know, whenever we have a pandemic, we can't find a cure overnight. It needs years to be developed. And all the forecasts and anticipations mentioned that the cure will not be soon available. So we may go into pure online learning during the coming year. 2021.
Yeah.
So basically, based on that, we have to find the problem that led to the shortage on online learning, especially that our students cannot be a field of experience where we can try things. I believe that the internet connection is a priority.
Of course.
So that every student and every instructor has access to internet at any time, and that should be done. I'm talking globally. I'm not just talking at the level of the local country. I'm saying that there should be a kind of harmony and an agreement between the Ministry of Communication and Ministry of Education. Internet should be available and free for everybody, and instructors should increase their navigation for the web and working on following strategies. You know that thousands of strategies are uploaded on the net, and they can have access to them.
I totally agree with you have said. This is the technical part. We are discussing the technical problem, because actually keeping connected was a real challenge with the students.
No
electricity,
electricity.
outrage, internet, etc. Some students are living in the villages and they don't have the access of this. Do they have the right for education because they're living far away? Of course they do have. So what Dr. Ajaka discussed is the technical problem related to the electricity and internet connection.
All the MENA region is suffering from such problems.
Yes. If we go back to the other problem, we said that part one was the students, and now the problem that lies exactly in the experience of those teachers who had no experience in their lifetimes to do this. How to solve this problem? How to get them into groups, teach them, instruct them, get probably trainers from abroad to help them do this. Do our Lebanese students deserve the higher education and higher levels of education in this country? To stay in the country and get stuck to the country and not leave the country? Yes, they do. They do deserve this, of course.
Dr. Liza, so many countries are like Lebanon. They haven't updated their curricula. And now the opportunity leapt, and they have to seize it. They have to follow new models, new texts, new stuff on the internet to teach their students. Like that, we changed the curricula automatically, and this is a very good advantage. This is the best advantage of online learning.
Before we continue, Dr. Liza and Dr. Laurance, let's take a short break and we will be right back. Welcome back to Educology. Before we continue, Dr. Laurance, to the second part, let's recap a little bit about the most important advantages of web-based learning.
Shortly speaking, it's convenient, flexible, cost-effective. It can be tailored to different needs, immediate, unrestricted, and you can have immediate updates.
And motivating.
There are a lot of advantages. It is fully equipped with advantages if we have a clear and concise strategy to follow when delivering such courses.
Does the e-learning have disadvantages, Dr. Liza?
Disadvantages of e-learning throughout somebody who has been instructing online for quite a time before the onset of COVID-19. One of my concerns is assessment. You know that assessment is crucial in learning. We gave the info, we did our job thinking that they have got everything.
But we're not aware. We're not aware of the potentials of the students, the desire, the awareness,
exactly,
the attention problem.
How to know whether the student has got every single info you want them to take? How do you know this? Throughout assessments.
Exactly.
And
summative and formative assessment.
Online learning. You might have seen some funny short videos about mothers talking to kids, giving them assignments, answering instead of their kids, etc. This is a real concern in the academic world. Assessment, when it's not done appropriately, it could lead to anything like cheating, plagiarizing, right. Because you are there, you have the camera right there, but there are so many handheld tools around, the iPads, the phones, etc. You might not know that your student has been communicating with someone else. Or even what happened, this is something grave, they gave their passwords to others, like elder brothers or foreigners, to pass the test instead of them. What would you do in this case?
I think with the availability of responders, such a thing can be done.
What can we do at this stage?
If their face frame goes out of the cam, the frame of the cam,
yeah.
The system automatically will throw them out.
This could be one good way to do it. However, as I said, we are delivering and lecturing online, but when it comes to assessment, this needs to be managed. It needs a clear-cut strategy. This should be like a unified system from the Ministry of Education and Higher
Dr.
Education.
Laurance, you tried the online assessment. How was your experience, and is it effective?
Fully effective. If e-learning is not based on solid instructional design theories and models, it may lead to a lot of problems and limitations. I've already followed a clear and concise strategy, and it worked very well with my students. I can't assume I'm perfect and say that my students are weak, and I tried every single way to make them enjoy being or having online sessions. and thank God it worked very well.
And about the assessment, how did you manage?
Actually, responders helped us a lot.
Responders, so you
through
used
Moodle. Students, we had hard times to get students accustomed to using responders. Of course, there was panic. Students were not able to know what to do, but due to technology, we were capable of getting them on the right track and helping them to proceed, and it worked very well.
But through assessment, Dr. Laurance, were you sure that the students weren't cheating?
They can't cheat. The way the exam is delivered, if it is based on critical thinking and
exactly, yeah.
on problem solving, they can't cheat. And they are your students. As long as you're using the technique of two-way interaction, you know every single person, you know the potentials. They can't deceive you.
Yeah.
You can assess every single person. I'm not saying it's 100% can be tracked, no. But let's say 80% you can assess the students and know where the potentials lie.
This is so true, because one of my strategies was this. I shifted from using a certain type of questions to asking them critical thinking, questions that lead to critical thinking. Only the student can answer the question, and not a parent or a friend or a graduate.
Let's say I avoided MCQs. And
It's easier to cheat.
Exactly.
Of course, it's like an open book thing.
Yeah.
We don't want to assess them on an open book thing.
Yeah, but there are many disadvantages for web-based learning. First, it may be a solo act. It's true that although online learning, and you know, Dr. Liza, might be convenient and flexible, it is also a solo act. Don't you agree?
Of course, of course.
It will not be easy for all of your learners to feel comfortable when participating in online discussions. And that's what happened with us during the pandemic, because online learning was imposed on them. And it was hard for them to engage actively with their online instructors. Wasn't the case with some instructors?
Of course.
Or their virtual classmates?
Not only instructors, but also students. Like teenage girls would not like to go on camera without makeup,
That's
hair
right.
done, well dressed, so they would hide themselves from the camera.
Furthermore, it's a new. It's a new. It's a newly introduced way for some people. Let's say some people absolutely need personal contact with their educators or trainers to learn successfully. They can't do it this way.
And this happened with me. Some of the students, as you know, in classes we have few students who need more care. As I said, they used to call me like at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Please, can I ask this question? Of course. So what happened with the instructor, that instead of going into the class for like lecturing 2 hours, it would elongate and take the whole day to follow up with special needs, extra information, extra work probably at times. Some students needed more assignments than others, and all these are taking place on the platform.
Here, doctor, how many students should be in online classroom? It's the perfect number if we
Not more than 15, I think.
Some classes went like up to 20.
Yes.
And it was doing
Can
fine.
you manage
but,
20 students in one classroom? It's online, it's not in a classroom.
the less is the best.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one-on-one interaction is also another option when you have a student with a special need or
So online, it's more a hard work for the instructor.
for both parties, for the student
If
to
the
grasp
if the
everything.
number is very high, this sometimes makes learners feel they lack support and reassurance. They are lost because they need like constructive feedback
Yes.
to keep going. They used to have that in physical classrooms and face-to-face communication, but they lack it in online communication.
Excuse me, this is a strategy that I used in the Google Classroom, in the Google Meet. I wanted to make sure that all these students who are like clicking green on the sidebar are there. I would call them by their names. What do you think about this? Let's discuss.
So you can motivate them more.
Exactly, and the others would know that it's my turn now, so they would be more like alerted or motivated, present to discuss the ideas. I would give the role to the students. It would be like student-centered thing, not every idea or new info delivered by the instructor. Why not be like student-centered lectures and give them the role to do it by themselves? And why don't we share this, like this group discussion?
Upon having the feedback of a master's student about his online course with me, he said to me, Dr. Ajaka, it is very good, but it's impersonal. I said to him, can you elaborate your...
Make it clearer.
Make it clearer. Can you elaborate your idea? He said to me, no matter how hard we try to fully transfer human communication to online platforms, no matter how natural it seems to form relationships behind computer screens, a virtual environment is just not a human. Nothing can replace a human contact. He said to me, it's one of the worst disadvantages of online learning.
And this, of course, my students wrote this in their essays. All of them without knowing anything, like they didn't know that the other person had the same idea to share. This is a crucial thing, that they lack the human interaction. Human interaction is very important. When everything gets into normal base, why don't we get things twinned together and mix web-based learning into a real-time classroom, and this would enhance or develop the level of learning more and more.
Do you think, Dr. Liza, that online learning or e-learning will replace the physical attendance in university?
I think it's
This is the trend now, regardless of the psychological aspect of feeling and dreaming and doing things. I think it's time to go for web-based learning. We have a lot of open sources, educational sources. There are a lot of uncovered scenarios, infos that we have to tackle.
I think the face of the century is the change, is fully changed, and it's the new way to prepare the future for the alpha generation.
So you think, Dr. Laurance, we are going to e-learning?
Yes.
In all courses?
All learning will be web-based. That's the new trend, as she has already mentioned.
Dr. Laurance, to continue, is there any other disadvantages?
Of course, self-discipline. Online learning needs self-discipline. If your e-learning audience lacks self-discipline, it's unlikely that they will be motivated to self-study. Traditional learning and training have the advantage or the benefit of easily tracking both progress and falling behind. This works for many learners as well, as some people prefer their progress to be closely monitored in order to perform. I don't feel motivated. I listen to the recording later on. They give up so easily.
What should the instructor do at this stage?
Actually, as I've already mentioned, and Dr. Liza said that earlier, a good strategy will help you. If you follow the strategy, it will be a clear sense of direction for the instructor as well as the students. They will not fall into abyss. They will follow the instructions and they will be on the safe side.
I might add one more thing: tailor the need of your students.
Exactly.
To tailor the needs.
So the instructor should know the needs of the students,
and
so
set
he put
strategy
his strategies
accordingly.
according to the
Accordingly.
I
Yes.
have always said that the good person is the one who suits his circumstances to the situation he is in. And the instructor has to suit his circumstances and his knowledge and his plans
his or her
to the needs of the students. In order to be, as she said, we have to tailor our teaching to the needs of our students.
Yes.
And don't forget that the worst disadvantage is the possible lack of control. No matter how carefully you design your e-learning course, there is no guarantee that your messages will get across.
Exactly.
That's what you have already said at the beginning. You offer your learners control over their e-learning experience, and this is a great. But are they going to use it effectively?
Exactly. Delivering doesn't mean understanding. We deliver.
Exactly.
But do they understand? Do they perceive?
How can the instructor know that the student understands what he's saying?
Through assessment.
Exactly.
Assessment.
There is
So we
one
have to
method.
wait till the assessment to know if the student.
Every
students
teacher
understands.
has to keep in mind the fact that there is always the risk of their learners just going through the material without paying any attention. And such a thing can be detected through assessment.
It could be through discussions, live discussions, on the spot. We might not wait that long for a formative assessment, like when it's we're left with no time to do anything about it.
Dr. Liza, you're aware of the fact that if our e-learning content is not built to make the most of the medium, it will easily become disengaging. Unless we know exactly what we are doing with the new technologies, it is very likely that we overwhelm or distract our audience. It should be well planned, well set, in order to achieve good outcomes. Creating effective online learning courses requires knowledge, time, experience, talent, commitment, good communication skills, and a true passion for learning. That's the main thing.
Dr. Liza, how can the teacher adapt with technology?
Let me give you, it just crossed my mind, one of my studies delivered in La Sapienza University, Italy. It was related to writing reports, science writing reports, as simple as that. When I went through this study, to conduct this study, I discovered that the teacher of the classroom needs to be trained for web-based learning. And she needs to have a rubric. And later on, I discovered that this rubric of writing a scientific report should be unified throughout all the schools in Lebanon. Why not teach our students how to write, even if it's a scientific report, in the school, and then when they get to the higher education, to the university level, they would be ready. Because most of the students are getting there without any background, without any experience. The thing here is to train the teachers, to deliver, to set strategies, help them with unified rubrics based on certain criteria, teach them how to perform it with their students in classrooms. This is for
it's one of the steps that should be followed.
This is one of the studies which crossed my mind
because
related to writing.
As we have already said at the beginning, Joyce, there should be a kind of agreement between the Ministry of Communication and the Ministry of Education to let everybody has good access to the internet. This is number one. Number two, you know that the centennials had they don't have limitations to the use of the internet. Their information is overwhelmed. So we should find a strategy to limit the information, not to be overwhelmed. We have to teach them techniques, skills, life skills, how to be critical thinkers, how to solve problems. If you know a lot, it's good. But if you don't use this knowledge to your life experiences, it's nothing. If I read something and I say, I know it, it's not enough. You need to tailor it to your life. Exactly. So like this, you don't have a problem. And I think it's a matter of time, no more than that. We need to practice. Instructors should be well trained to have such a science. I know that they will face a lot of challenges, but they have to do it because I think online learning
they have to
will be imposed, especially that our students started to get used to that. They started to like it, to like not getting ready to go to school, not to get stuck in the traffic. A lot of advantages led them to suffer a little bit, but cope with such new technologies.
Dr. Liza, your last word.
My last word would emphasize the teaching management skills for all instructors, whether they're in higher education, secondary schools, all of them. Train the trainer. This is the most important thing at this point of time.
Dr. Laurance, do you have anything to add?
Throughout history, we had a lot of tools for education, but the best tools turned to be during the 21st century. The 21st century classroom should have the right people to do the job properly and correctly, especially that they have the most sophisticated tools ever.
Dr. Liza, thank you for being here. Dr. Laurance, we will see you next week. For here, our episode comes to end. Stay safe, keep smiling. See you next week.